Hello, and thank you for joining us at the webinar today. This is Michelle Shanahan from Synergy Resources, and I have a few housekeeping notes to go over before we get started. All lines are currently muted and will remain on mute for the duration of this event. We invite you to submit written questions using the question panel feature on your control panel, and we'll answer questions at the end of the presentation. Please note that a brief survey will launch at the conclusion of this event. We'd appreciate you taking a few moments to respond to the questions, as your valuable feedback will help us improve future events. This meeting is being recorded, and I will email you a link to the recording and presentation within 24 hours. Without further delay, it's my pleasure to hand it over to today's presenters, starting with Matt Morgan. Over to you, Matt.
Thanks, Michelle. Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us here at Portable Intelligence today. Our topic today is inventory management. From chaos to control, solving inventory woes with material barcoding from Portable Intelligence. And a thank you to Synergy and Michelle Shanahan for arranging and allowing us to provide this webinar regarding material barcoding inventory management. My name is Matthew Morgan, and with me today is our Customer Success Manager, Kurt Renault. Next, Kurt. Okay, so today we want to begin just with a brief introduction about Portable Intelligence. Then we'll get right into it with a discussion about why good inventory management should be crucial to every manufacturer and distributor. Then we'll have a look at how RF Plus and Portable Intelligence can support your efforts to improve inventory accuracy and streamline your processes. From there, Kurt will share with us some real-life benefits that our customer CompoSecure has realized from implementing RF Plus last year. Next, we'll walk you through an overview of how Portable Intelligence leads you through the implementation process to ensure success. And of course, we'll field any questions you may have at the end of our session. Next. So, who is Portable Intelligence? For those that do not know us yet, PI has been offering integrated smart labor and material barcoding solutions into the visual ERP world for over 17 years. PI solutions are designed for manufacturers and distributors who are intent on optimizing their warehouse processes without the addition of labor or space. Next. And here you can see a sampling of our customers and of the industries we serve across multiple industries here, from food to packaging, including medical packaging, industrial manufacturing, consumer goods, automotive, and drug and medical, and more so than that even. If you recognize some of the names here, you will see that Portable Intelligence serves both manufacturers and distribution companies. Next. So let me just briefly here introduce you to Jeff Lem, founder and CEO of Portable Intelligence. Jeff has been involved with hundreds of warehouse management system deployments, and in his free time, authored a book about how you can turn your warehouse into a competitive advantage. It's named Your Warehouse is Not Your Fridge. If you're interested in obtaining a copy, please shoot me an email. You'll see my email at the end of this presentation. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Kurt.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. So let's start by taking a look at a typical warehouse situation. All right, does this look familiar? We got lots going on this slide. You know, we can see that, you know, maybe that receiving has some tribal knowledge. You know, maybe that inventory systematically is all in a single location, but, you know, physically distributed across many bulk locations or racks. In production, you got WIP that, you know, comes off the line and needs materials before it can go to the next operation, but you can't see it systematically, so you may lose sight of it. You know, you may run into job borrowing, where, you know, you gotta pull materials from one job to another, and then we can run into, you know, situations where for finished goods they're missing labels, or it still needs to be inspected before it's ready to be shipped So there can be inventory discrepancies, right? So these are just some of the common issues that we see, when we typically go into a facility, and any sort of misstep or mistransaction along the way, results in lost time, additional costs, and mistrust in the system. So let's now look at some typical companies and how they get to this point. So we call this the 7 stages of inventory growth. Okay, stage 1, you're made to order business. All your orders are from PO to work order to CO are linked. Inventory comes in, it goes out, life is good. Stage 2, the business is growing. Orders are now being auto issued from primary locations. Linked orders are becoming a little less common. There's still sufficient space in the warehouse, and everyone is still happy. Stage 3, the business is taking on bigger customers with specific requirements. You have multiple delivery dates and concurrent schedules to deal with now. The team can be flexible, but it's not as simple as it has been in the past. The team is starting to get annoyed, but it's still manageable. Stage 4, ordering materials in advance to take advantage of discounts and lead times. The system is now showing some negative inventory in some locations due to some missed transactions. More inventory counts are required, more processes are required, more work. The team is now frustrated. Stage 5, lots of specialized processes, very reliant on the tenured workers, falling behind on system transactions, and the team is now exhausted. Stage 6, what needs to be tracked? We're starting to get some bottlenecks in production, which is causing some issues for the material handlers. Need to hire more people to keep up with the work. The warehouse is reaching its tipping point, and the team is starting to lose their mind. Stage 7, we're now stocking big orders. Materials are overflowing into aisles, into the yard. The team is putting it wherever they can find space. You now have to hit delivery windows or face financial penalties. You got your tenured people now retiring. The day-to-day operation is a constant struggle, and the team is trying to survive each day. So as our business grows, we take on bigger customers and more inventory. It's crazy how quickly the chaos from the previous slide comes into play, right? It becomes a reality real fast. So why is it important to control our inventory? Right, so controlling costs helps avoid overstocking or understocking. Over the last couple of years, there's been supply chain issues, severe supply chain issues, and that's caused a real challenge for businesses having to, lead times for materials. Customer satisfaction, ensuring that your product is available to them when they need it, when they order it, avoid any late penalties, and increase customer loyalty, right? Operation efficiencies, reduce errors and waste, being able to get the work done with the workers you have, not having to hire more people, being more efficient in your day-to-day operation. And then forecasting accuracy, helps the business plan production and purchasing more materials effectively. So controlling inventory is truly essential to staying competitive in today's marketplace. Over to you, Matt.
Thanks, Kurt. So here at Portable Intelligence, we break down an inventory management project into these 4 focus areas: inbound processes, production, picking and shipping, and labeling. So let's review each of these in a bit more detail. Next. So the first, back up one, Kurt, there we go. So starting here with inbound and put away, okay? Inbound and put away is where it all begins for proper inventory management, right? So of course, this is the most important step to get right in your processes. Here, RF Plus gives you the visibility, flexibility, and control that you're gonna need. RF Plus allows you to receive any line of a PO to multiple locations, for instance. It allows you to scan supplier labels using Visual's part alias feature, which is a very nice feature there. You can take a picture using your handheld device and immediately attach it to the receipt. This might be very useful for a lot of you so that you can track damaged goods or just the condition of goods as they arrive at your dock. Okay. We also allow you to print your own labels on demand, straight from the handheld receiving screen. And you can also do your receiving and put away in a typical two-stage process. So you can do the receipt and then the put away to select your location. It doesn't all just happen automatically, and you have to play catch up to the computer. Okay. So next step in production. Okay. A typical visual manufacturing customer has hundreds or even thousands of work orders in production at any moment in time, right? And more are being released every day to the floor. So RF Plus uses the same simple, intuitive interface that you see here on the right-hand side of the slide. The same simple, intuitive interface to facilitate efficient issuing of materials, warehouse transfers, and work order finished goods receiving. So we also offer a built-in capability for kitting your materials as you prepare for releasing work orders to production, something we call license plating or LPN. By using LPN, you can build up your work order materials as they arrive and then issue the entire list of requirements in one transaction when you're ready to start production. And RF Plus even confirms that all the material requirements are still valid and alerts you if a requirement has changed since you kitted it or since you put it on a cart. Next up, we have picking and shipping. So this probably looks very familiar to you. You'll see the printed pack list screen there. A printed before shipment pack list is to be used for sales order picking, and then your workers write in the quantities they pick. Then someone enters the picks into Visual and prepares the shipment. Okay, all a very manual process, also open to human error as it's being transcribed and entered into Visual. So RF Plus customers eliminate all these manual steps by using the pick, pack, and ship modules, which guide the warehouse employees through the warehouse in the most efficient paths to pick and pack order lines. The packed sales orders are now moved right into shipping, where RF Plus's integration with multiple shipping applications makes rate shopping for LTL or FTL and parcel carriers simple and fast. RF Plus also provides multiple advanced features which you can choose to use, such as wave picking, directed picking, LPN picking, and again, on-demand label printing. Next up, I want to talk a little bit about labeling here. You can see here under the column named What, just a few examples of rather specific, highly configured label requirements that I'm sure many of you have encountered. And as you may also have experienced, you either get the labels right or you get penalized by your customer. You also see a picture of color-coded labels in use by several of our customers, where the color coding visually signals the user to the type or stage of stock. We can help you design whatever labels your customers require. RF Plus accomplishes this by giving you the label printing capabilities right in the transactional workflow screens, which you can see right there on the example of a handheld screen on the right-hand side. Whether you want to pre-print labels in batches or print them on demand as you need them. Many PI customers utilize portable label printers that can be worn with a harness, which of course delivers the ultimate in on-demand label printing. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Kurt.
Thank you, Matt. So today our customer success story is CompoSecure, right? They are a world provider of payment cards. So they manufacture credit cards, you know, something that most of us have and use fairly regularly. So a little background on CompoSecure. They are a fully traced operation. They're located in New Jersey, and they've been in operation since 2000. All right. So some of their major customers are the government, security, and casinos. CompoSecure went live with RF Plus, the HTML5 version in 2022 with the inbound inventory and production module. So some of the challenges that were highlighted by the CompoSecure prior to the project, they're having some big challenges tracking inventory. That was coming from not only like internally, but also by their customers. So thinking about a credit card and the little microchip that is embedded in each one of them has a serial number that needs to be traced and be able to be traced back to the origin of the company that manufactured that chip. So some of the challenges were, you know, waiting on materials, not being able to find materials, walking up and down aisles, looking for raw materials or finished goods, and they had some clutter on the warehouse floor. So they were looking to find some more efficiencies and maximize their facility space. So the project plan, it all starts with what we call a BRD. It's a business review document, a document that we work or fill out with the team. We review all processes from PO receiving and all the way to, you know, finished goods and picking and shipping. So from there, we break it down into project phases, and we build a project schedule. So in CompoSecure case, you know, typically it's phase one is always inbound and inventory, and then in phase two we went with production. So once the phases are identified, it gives us a guideline or a framework to start the process verification. We call it PV. So we work with the team from top to bottom, covering all the different scenarios in that process area that could be encountered, and we work with them to ensure that RF Plus is supporting and able to handle all use cases. So once the process verification is complete, you know, throughout the project and the phases, we do have weekly calls and with the core project team to ensure, you know, all questions are answered, and that the project is moving along. So once, you know, the process verification is complete, you know, we take the train the trainer approach, where we train the CompoSecure SMEs, subject matter experts, on the process, and then they in turn go to the end users and train their own team. So to like mention, and we break up the project into phases. The go lives are broken up into phases as well, not to overwhelm the team. So the first go live would be just inventory and inbound, and once that process is stable and the team is comfortable using it on the floor, that's kind of when we move into our next phase of the project. So overall, again, it was a two-phase project for CompoSecure, but you know, the first phase, they only had six team members that needed to be trained, And I think that phase went on a little quicker. And then when it came around production, there's a little more complexity where they had team members across different shifts and different locations that needed to be trained. So some benefits. So, you know, the slide right here, these points that I got directly from the supply chain supervisor, Stuart Henry at CompoSecure. He was the project lead, the RF Plus lead on the project. You know, to highlight some of them, you know, the real-time inventory transactions eliminated their manual process, which is great. They would write things down and then have to walk to a desktop computer or a station to then commit the transaction. So we eliminated all those additional time. The user is able to simply do the transactions real time and then move on. Inventory lookups was another big one for them. You know, they had team members that used to have to walk up and down aisles trying to search for materials. Now with RF Plus, they were able to just simply look it up from the handheld and be able to go directly to where that inventory or materials were in the warehouse. And then being able to print a finished good label. So that was another one that he mentioned where that label helped identify to the team that the item was finished and that it passed the inspection process, and that eliminated their over processing on work orders. So when I had a good call with Stuart when I initially asked him if it was okay if I presented CompoSecure at our customer success story, and he mentioned that the team has really fully embraced the transition to the new processes, and that they're seeing these immediate benefits and are happy so far. So that's great. So moving on, you know, so how do we help customers gain these benefits, you know, and turn their warehouse into a competitive advantage? Honestly, it all starts with the basics. So I'll go over each of these, you know, facility prep, you know, labels, transfer cycle counts. These are really the basics, but are the essentials to being able to really convert your warehouse into a competitive advantage. So it starts with the facility prep, right? So the facilities and systems need to be set up in a way to enable the team to be successful in the warehouse, right? So locations and bins need to be labeled, you know, any hold areas need to be clearly marked, and as well as connectivity, right? So with a web-based system, you need to ensure that all sections or areas of the warehouse can have the, you know, effective connectivity to ensure that the transactions are able to be made. You know, nothing's worse than not being able to use a system because it's lacking, you know, the connectivity to the internet. So, you know, how do we help? We promote the ZA BLB zone aisle bay level bin naming structure for locations as a best practice. It's important to stay consistent throughout your warehouse, right? So, you know, for example, if you have racking that's like eight bays high, you know, being able to scan that high may be difficult and may take more time. So we would suggest or recommend this stacked barcode that you see in the bottom right hand corner. It's on the first bay, and it's easy for the team to be able to scan without any struggle of trying to reaching the top levels. Moving on to labels, I know Matt has already kind of touched on the importance of labels. You know, being able to identify raw materials, WIP, or finished goods is so important for the workers on the floor, right? It really affects their efficiency if it's hard to identify these materials. So why not make label printing easy for them, right? You know, setting up maybe multiple printing stations or being able to print directly from the handheld, you know, give them the tools they need to ensure that the labeling gets done and not forgotten, right? So having easy to scan barcodes on the labels, keeps the worker moving forward in the process. And we know that there's some industries that have strict label requirements, especially, let's say, automotive. So if that's your business and you need some help with labels, no problem. That's something that we are familiar with and can easily support you on. So labeling is very important to the operation. Next is transfers. So another and very important step is being able to make the transfers real time, right? In the picture in the middle, having written down these transactions, who knows when this card gets actually updated to the system? Is it an hour, or is it at the end of the shift, or do they wait till it's full and it may be 2 to 3 days until that card is actually transacted in the system? So materials move around the warehouse all day, every day, and it's important to keep the system up to date. Otherwise the workers, the office staff, the managers, they don't know what's there and they can't trust the system. So RF Plus makes it real simple to make these transfers real time, and it's definitely beneficial to just again have them done real time, and it's simple to do. Lastly, I just want to talk a little bit about cycle counts. So if the team's done the facility prep, the labeling, the transfers well, this one becomes real easy, right? So doing frequent cycle counts is a great way to stay on top of the inventory discrepancies, fix problems, fix issues before they become, significant problems. And, doing frequent counts, daily can really reduce the effort of searching for materials or finished goods. So in our experience, it's best to use your own personnel, that workers that work in the warehouse on a day-to-day basis, know where materials are or where they should be. But if needed, you can always hire a third party, but make sure you hire a reputable third party to do your cycle counts. So I know I'm kind of spitting out a lot of information out at you right now, but I'm hoping some of this sticks and makes you start thinking about how you can improve your operation. Over to you, Matt.
Okay. Thanks, Kurt. So let's address the elephant in the room, shall we? So perhaps you're wondering at this point, why should I choose RF Plus when I have access to Visual's shop floor mobile, right? Well, the answer is really quite simple. It comes down to usability. For any solution to be successful, the users must believe and buy in that the solution will help them, okay? And we're talking about the folks on the warehouse floor, on the production floor, okay? Portable Intelligence is focused solely on efficient warehouse and materials management practices. We've been doing so for almost 20 years. We're involved in an implementation. We spend time learning what the people on the warehouse and production floor need in order to perform their jobs efficiently day to day. RF Plus is designed with the mobile worker in mind, okay? So understanding the needs, simplicity, and efficiency are the keys to adoption and success. Next. Here's one example of RF Plus's efficiency using work order issuing as an example. Okay, what you're looking at right now is the actual screen that is presented to the user. All right, and just for context, we also placed it, took a screen capture of it actually in use on a handheld device. In this case, it's a Zebra TC26 that's pictured. We present the mobile worker with a simple, clean user interface that quickly moves them through the necessary fields to complete the transaction. We've actually done time studies, and RF Plus actually reduces transaction time by 70%. That's one transaction reduced by 70%. So if you figure that out, times hundreds of transactions a day, perhaps, times multiple people, times the number of days in a month and a year, you've got some real time savings there. Next. Just for context, shop floor mobile for the same type of transaction would require 3 tabs or screens to do a work order issue, okay, where RF Plus can be done in 1 screen, as you saw previously. So shop floor mobile works for low volume environments, but it's really not ideal, what we find, for most mobile workers, especially in high volume environments. Go ahead, Kurt. So in wrapping up, we want to point out our summer special here that we're running right now. We just started. If you get in touch with our salesperson, John Adams, you see his email down below there. Book your RF Plus project by June 30th of this year, and you'll get up to an additional $11,000 in total savings. Okay. You can see the details of that summer special included here. You actually have through July 31st to sign up, but you get an extra $1,000 discount on your project if you get by June 30th. Okay, so please contact us for that. And we're also including a special offer open only to those registered and in attendance at today's webinar. We want to thank you for attending it. So keep an eye open for an email from us here at Portable Intelligence shortly after the end of this webinar for your chance to take advantage of a complimentary process review session. Kurt. And at this time here, we've got plenty of time left, and we will field any questions that may come in. So as a reminder, as Michelle mentioned, if you do have any questions about the process of implementation or about the RF Plus product, how it might help you, any questions whatsoever, please feel free to post them on the questions panel and you'll find that within your control panel of GoToWebinar. So we do have a couple questions that have come up that were posted, and let's see. So the first is, we talked about several modules here. Does RF Plus have to be implemented completely all at once, or can we implement the modules that were described individually? Okay. So the short answer to that is yes, they can be implemented individually. We usually recommend doing it as a full project, so you're getting all the benefits end to end, from inbound to production, to shipping and such. But they can be done individually, but we would typically go in a particular order, starting, we usually recommend starting with your inbound processes and put away. Let's see, next we have, do I have to purchase specific hardware for use with RF Plus? And how would I know what's best to buy? Okay. The short answer to that is no, you do not have to buy specific hardware. And we recognize certainly that you may not be experts in this, so to speak. This might be your first time going around with using something like this. So certainly we can help you out. We can help you out with that. We don't sell hardware at Portable Intelligence, but certainly having been in the business for so many years, we do have just relationships with different companies that do sell the hardware. So we can put you in touch, and we can also give you some recommendations and thoughts on what might be the best hardware to use. Okay. All right, so next here, what versions of Visual is RF Plus compatible with? So we do offer, we have two different versions of RF Plus out there. Some folks, many folks in our customer base are using what we would call the version that's a Telnet connected version of RF Plus. And then our latest release or newer releases, which is an HTML5 version. So the older versions, I believe, and Kurt, you might want to help me out here on this one. I believe it will go back to as far as Visual 8 that it is compatible with. It may go back further beyond that. I'm not quite certain. If you're running on an older version of Visual, we can certainly work with you on that and see where it's at. Okay. Let's see. Next question here was, does Synergy support validating the system is working? So I'm gonna interpret that as does portable intelligence support validation that the system is working? Yes, absolutely. We work with you through the entire process. We're there from start to finish. We are certainly we support the efforts all the way through, and we are available to work with you on your go live, to be there ready in case there's any issues. Okay. And I do see that thankfully John Adams from Portable Intelligence is here on the webinar with us, and he just posted that that RF Plus actually is supported all the way back to 6.5.4, Visual 6.5.4. From that forward, from 7 forward, is the HTML version. So hopefully that answers your question. To the folks that posted the question about Synergy supporting validation of the system working, I'm not quite sure if I answered your question, so please, if you don't, post another or put something in there to let me know if I answered your question. I'm not quite sure. So next question here, can you walk through, for example, let's see. Sorry, I gotta extend my question box here a little bit. Can you walk through, for example, how exactly a transfer is done real time any more quickly than doing the transaction directly in Visual? Oh, certainly. So well, first off, it's the fact that, of course, you're doing it out on the shop or out on the production floor or in the warehouse. You've got your handheld gun style or whatnot, handheld device with you. You're scanning it. So as you're physically doing the transfer, you are, I guess you might say, virtually doing the transfer. Okay. So the transaction is done in real time. It's a full integration to Visual. There is no there's no time lag or having to upload it to the Visual database. It's real time. It's occurring as fast as you can do the transaction and go look in Visual. It's there. So really the simple interface of RF Plus is key to really allowing that to be done more quickly than doing the transaction in Visual. Okay. We also provide the warehouse user with inventory lookups, location lookups. There's multiple ways to do lookups so they can find where is the inventory stored, where can I move it to, what's an available location. Lots of different options available there to aid in that process. So the next question, is the project managed by Portable Intelligence remotely or on site? Okay, it's up to you. Typically most of our customers find that a largely remote remotely managed or remotely run project works fine for them. But I will say in almost all cases, I'll say in a quote unquote post-COVID world, post-pandemic world, in most cases, we will begin the project on site. It is extremely helpful for both you as the customer and us as the provider for somebody from our company to visit your site, to have a walkthrough, to see how the processes are actually done in person, and to fully understand everything from your inbound to your pick, pack, and ship processes. Is there a roadmap of updates available for us to see? Yes, there is. Actually, here at PI, we do a semi-annual customer town hall during which we present everyone with the roadmap of updates and what will be coming down the pike. We just had that about 3 weeks ago. We had our mid-year, I guess you'd say, customer town hall. So anybody that's on here that is a user, already a customer of RF Plus, we encourage you to please try and join those town halls. We do cover the roadmap. We also cover our very own Kurt Renault here, covers some of the recent big enhancements that were added to the system in the past few releases. So we also have some Q&A in that session as well. So if you were not made aware of that customer town hall a few weeks ago, please send us an email. Any one of us, you see the emails available to you there on the screen. Send us an email. We'll make sure that you're added to our contact list. So next up here, what is the typical time planning from initiating a project to full implementation? Okay, great question. So of course, my answer is it depends and it varies. But you know, a typical timeline that we really aim for is really about a 6 to 8 week implementation period. So that's what we shoot for as a company. Now, of course, some are shorter, some are longer, but some of it depends on the complexities of your processes and your company and your situation. Some of it also depends on the I'll say level of readiness. Okay. Kurt talked about in his slides there. Kurt talked about preparing the site, right? That includes from a tech standpoint, right? Getting a good strong Wi-Fi signal to every corner of the warehouse, if you will, in production. There's that. And then again, there's the proper racking and shelving and bins and locations, the naming of those and the labeling of those locations and so forth. So that does take some time, depending on your current state, from what you're moving from to what you would want to be moving to. And of course, we're helping you with that to you know, build an ideal state. But of course, that's going to take. It depends. You know, it takes some time to build that up. What range of costs are involved for the project work? What range of costs are involved for the project work of setting RF Plus up? Okay, so that you know, as far as the consulting services for implementing RF Plus, again, it's a range. It depends on the complexities and the number of modules being implemented. But you know, get in touch with us. We'd love to talk with you and find a little bit more out about what you have going on. Again, keep your eyes open for the email that'll be coming before the end of the day, and that offers an initial no obligation process review, and from that we would be able to you know, give you a better idea of what the implementation costs would be. Next question here, is there a test box available for RF Plus during the training phase? So I'm assuming what's meant by that is there a handheld, if you will, handheld device that's made available during the training phase. So when we enter into an implementation, we can make of course we have handheld devices that we keep for our use for testing purposes and such here at Portable Intelligence. We can make something like that available, but at the same time, you can also we can get you set up so that you can use your desktop essentially, or your PC to emulate a handheld, so that you can see and you're testing it in your conference room pilots and so forth for that period.
So just to jump in there, Matt, just to help clarify, with our any RF Plus implementation, we always set up 2 instances, one in test and one in live. So we do all of our process verification and training in the test instance. Essentially, it's a copy of what would be used in live, making sure that all the configurations, all the setup that may be required based on your business requirement needs is all done in test. And then once the training is complete and we're ready for go live, we essentially just point the devices to the live instance and go live. So I hope that may help answer that question as well.
Great, thank you, Kurt. Yeah, I skipped right over that portion, so thank you. Okay, next question here. If we want to start out in one plant and prove it out, is that possible? Yes, absolutely. So if you have multiple sites, multiple plants, excuse me, yes, it can certainly, we can certainly start out in one, and then once that's been confirmed and verified and validated, then we can start off sort of a phase 2 with the next plant. Next question here is the physical layout of the warehouse in the software for a user to refer to when looking for a location a part is telling them has stock? Let me read that again. Is the physical layout of the warehouse in the software for a user to refer to when looking for a location a part is telling them to have stock? Kurt, maybe you can jump in here on this.
Yeah, no problem. So no, the device isn't showing a physical layout of the warehouse. What we're doing is we're showing a list by the user being able to select the list icon, which will prompt all the locations in the system that have inventory. So there is no diagram or picture, but again, how we direct the user is by a list of, and then by showing the locations with quantity.
Right. And so I think that kind of also goes to some of the training and the implementation phase that we take folks through. So, I'm really glad you asked that question, Helen, because that also points out the importance of the proper naming schema of your zones and racks and shelves and bins and locations that Kurt mentioned on one of his slides. Obviously very important that there's consistency throughout the building, throughout the warehouse, and also so that the folks are trained so that everybody knows, what that naming scheme, what that identification schema is, and how to interpret it, so that they know exactly where to go then. That really comes into play, very important when folks are going to be using the wave picking or serpentine such. So great question. Okay. And I think that covers it. Doesn't look like any other questions are coming in. So I certainly appreciate everybody's questions and everybody's attentiveness and for joining us today for our webinar. Again, keep your eyes open for an email coming from us. And keep in mind our summer special as well. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. We will send the recording within 24 hours. Have a great day.